In this lesson, we're going to go through the process of filling in the different blocks for our tileable texture. Alright, so in the last lesson we had created the seam for our tileable texture. And now what we want to do is we want to come in and we want to build in the rest of our tileable texture here. Alright, so let's get started in this process. So let's come in here and let's just start to fill this in. Let's grab this guy right here. I'm going to place him right in there. Hit OK. Let's take this guy. And, well, let's take this guy right here. I'm going to hold down Shift, place him there. Take this guy right here, place him in there. And you know what? Actually, I'm going to put it right there. Hit OK. Let's take this guy, put him in there. Put this guy in here. Let's turn him sideways. So let's go ahead and grab our rotate tool, rotate him 90 degrees, and then move him into position. Let's do 2 of those right there. And again, I really don't like doing that, but sometimes you can't really get around it. Okay. Let's take, let's come in here, let's grab, which one haven't we used in a while? Yeah, it seems like we've used a lot of them pretty much the same. Let's come in here, let's grab this guy, put him there. I'm going to put this guy right here and there. Grab another big block and put it there for now. And let's take this guy. That might not work there. Let's rotate this 180 degrees. Put that right there. Looks like this is going to work right here. And let's rotate that. Okay, and I'm just going about this really quickly. We could make some adjustments here and there if we need to, but I'm just going throughout this process really quickly. And now that I'm looking at that, I don't really like this right here. Now let's go ahead and delete that one out. Let's fill that up with something else. Let's take this guy and let's rotate that just like so. Let's take this small one. Let's move that into that position. Now I know that it's going to cluster these together, but I think I could live with the smaller ones. Okay. And actually I can't put that one there because it's going to create just this weird seam here. Let's see, we got a 3x4. Do we have one of those? We do not. Let's create a 3x4 box. So let's do 3x4 by 16. I'm going to rotate that guy 90 degrees. Let's make a copy of that. So hold down Shift. Just drag that into that position there. And again, that's not going to set up properly. Let's go ahead and turn that back up just by hitting Control Z. Let's reset that pivot point. Let's put that right in the corner here. Now let's go ahead and shift and drag that over. Let's rotate that 90 degrees. Put that into position. Okay. Have this little piece here. Let's delete that out. And let's take a look at what we can do at this point. Let's shift and drag this guy over. It's going to create that little small sliver there. Don't like that. Let's delete that one. And this one. So, you know, again, this is the process. Just trying to figure out what goes where, what's going to fit best. You know, sometimes it takes a little longer, and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it goes really well. All right, let's take this guy, and let's rotate him 90 degrees. And let's put this guy in here. Hit OK. All right, let's take, let's see, let's do a 2x4 right here. Rotate that 90 degrees. Okay, place that there, and then we can put this guy right there. Ugh, I just don't like that. All those clustered together like that. Let's see. What can we do? We've got a 3 by 4 here. That would create a little small piece there. Let's see. And those would go right there together. Yeah, I don't really like that. Let's see here. It's a 5. Let's see, this is 6. We have a 3 by 5. We can do a 3 by 3 here. So let's go ahead and build that out. So let's create a new box. Let's do 3 by 3, 16. And then what we'll do is we're going to go ahead and affect its pivot point. So let's drag that down to the corner. That's good. And then we'll just move that into place here. And actually, let's hold down Shift and drag that in. Hit OK. And let's take this guy and pop him right in there and rotate him around. So again, you can see that we've created a few custom blocks that we needed to fit in there. It's going to break things up a little bit. I'm going to take a look at the design here of all the different blocks, and I think I could live with where this is at. I think I could live with that. So now what we need to do is we need to check to see if this is going to tile properly. All right, we need to make sure that whenever we create this texture that all of these pieces are going to go together. All right, so let's take all of these and let's group them. So I'm going to group it, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down Shift and let's drag this out, and let's put the overlapping pieces right on top of one another. Now again, we've got those snapping on, so it's not going to overlap properly. Okay, so we have to turn that snapping off. So now you can see that this tiles right along this edge here perfectly. Okay, and you can see how that's going to tile. Let's go ahead and grab these. Let's group that. Let's check our vertical. So hold down Shift, let's drag that up, and I want these pieces to overlap, so those big purple squares are going to lock perfectly together, and we can see our seam snap together. And hit OK. So you can see how that comes together perfectly, and that's going to be our tileable texture. So that's what that's going to look like. Now at this point we could come in and we could start to raise these blocks up a little bit and start to work with those in that way. We don't necessarily have to do that right now. Let's go ahead and delete that last group. Let's ungroup this and delete this guy, and then let's ungroup this one, so that way it's all together. Now looking at this block here, that's raised up quite a bit there, so I'm going to make sure that height is set to 16, so that way these are all flush. Okay, so now that we have these blocks tiled and we are ready to go here, what I want to do at this point is start to get this set up to where we could take it into ZBrush and start to sculpt all these different blocks out to kind of make them a little higher poly, to make them look more like stone. All right, so we're going to go through that process in our next lesson.